Hi Akash, thank you for joining in. Firstly, a huge congratulations on your 695. And what makes the score all the more great is that you achieved it with a perfect Q90 and a D83. So thank you for joining in today.
Thank you, Abba. Pleasure being here.
So Akash, when we look back at your journey, it's been a tremendous journey. You started off with a 615, and within a 3 months time span, you have improved to a 695, right? But before we deep dive into your journey, I was just curious to know what was your first reaction when you actually saw that score on the screen?
So honestly, I was a bit surprised because going into the test, I had those nerves. So will it go correctly? Will I be able to do the sections correctly or not? Because there were certain ups and downs in my mocks as well. So I was just a bit worried while going into the test. But at the end, when I saw the score, I was actually happy and surprised both at the same time. So
Yeah.
yeah, at the end of the day, it feels good.
Yes, yes, and I can totally understand that feeling. So, when we reflect back on your first mock, right, the 615 mock, it was very clear that there were two sections that really needed attention, which was verbal and DM. So, how did you begin tackling these areas? Could you elaborate more on your approach towards verbal?
Yes. So verbal, while after I gave the 615 mock, my first mock, so after analyzing it, I realized that I was too much, I had timing issues,
Mm-hmm,
even accuracy issues,
mm-hmm,
so so I was just formalizing what should I do next. So I
mm-hmm,
came across eGMAT as a platform. Even one of my friends had talked about it. So based on the reviews and everything, uh, after using the Scholaranium, so I solved a couple of questions on Scholaranium as well. So after that and everything, I decided to join eGMAT.
mm-hmm.
So after that, after joining the course, I started as discussed with you. So as discussed, I started with verbal.
Yeah.
Uh, the, Verbal, I started with the master comprehension course.
Mm-hmm,
Then master comprehension, I learned like breaking down the arguments, which is really crucial in CR and RC. So that was the foundation, the master comprehension.
mm-hmm,
After that, master comprehension, I moved into CR. So CR, the approach was with after going through the module, the approach which I learned was completely different. Was the way how I was approaching.
yeah.
Previously, I was just reading the argument, going through the option choices.
Mm-hmm,
But in the course, like in the CR, as it was told, so first we need to analyze the argument, look for conclusions, use the premises, and then pre-think an answer, like
mm-hmm,
using negation test. Uh, yeah. So after all, like learning all these pre-thinking approaches, applying the negation test when the options are confusing. So utilizing these approaches and following the process for solving CR questions
mm-hmm,
is like that was part of the change which I needed. So I improvised on timing as well
mm-hmm,
as my accuracy improved.
yeah.
So once I started taking that pre-thinking approach, though it
Mm-hmm.
was a bit difficult to at the start because it doesn't come naturally.
Mm,
Like we have a tendency to skip that pre-thinking part,
mm,
but while so after solving a lot of questions and everything, I I used to remind myself you have to follow the pre-thinking part.
mm.
Like that is the part if you skip that option choices are meant to be confusing.
Yes. Yeah.
Option choices can be quite a lot of confusing. And even the accuracy decreases.
Mm.
But just spending those 10-15 seconds on the pre-thinking part can actually save you a lot of time in option choice analysis and you can solve a question a lot faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the difference, that's where the difference comes in. That's where the timing improves as well as the accuracy. Yeah.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I was looking into your CR stats here, and we can clearly see that when we deep dive into your journey view, you were straight A's, right? Straight A's across your learning activities, which also indicates how immersed you were in learning. Because I know that, pre-thinking was not something that came in the very first go for you. Like you said, it required for you to spend time, it required for you to do focus practice, but you were well on your path, right path rather, from the stage one itself. So,
Uh,
Akash, in your journey, you followed the stage one, stage two approach throughout your course structure. So, how efficient was this structured approach in your preparation?
Yeah, so structured approach actually like decreases the study time, like actually which we spend in complete study. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you are not following the structured approach, if we just go and randomly solve 10 CR questions, 10 RC questions someday, so that doesn't help. So following the structures, first getting the basics correct. So the issue was from basics, especially in CR, the issue was in basics. So first I need to learn the basics. That's where the structure comes in. So
Mm-hmm.
first going through the basic modules, then building on that cementing quizzes, which help you apply the learnings,
Mm-hmm.
where you can test your learnings. You will apply your learnings,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you have learned. And then after that, moving to the quizzes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where structured approach helps. It decreases your preparation time as well as you are doing the preparation much more efficiently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
that's how it helps.
yes. Now, since you mentioned the cementing stage, right? So, how did the cementing stage contribute to your preparation? What impact did it make?
So once like learning a concept is different than applying. So
Mm-hmm.
GMAT like CR questions and overall GMAT is about learning and then applying the skills which you have learned.
Mm-hmm.
So the cementing step helps you apply whatever you have learned in the core modules,
Mm-hmm.
and checking for any weaknesses you have. So whatever the targets are being set, like 70%, 55% in hard questions. So that helps you analyze your performance, whether you are on the right track, whether you are applying the learnings or not. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how cementing helps in applying the learnings,
Mm-hmm.
whatever we have done in the core modules.
Mm. And once you had grasped the processes and the concepts of verbal, the next section that was a bigger issue for you was DI, right? Your DI section also saw a very remarkable progress, because you improved from a 51 percentile to now a 96th percentile. So, what challenges did you face in DI, and what was your approach to overcoming them?
Yeah. So DI is, as you know, it is a combination of verbal as well as quant skills.
Hmm.
So in DI, both the skills are required.
Hmm.
I similarly I faced timing issues.
Hmm.
I was not able to complete the test previously. Even
Hmm.
I was not having the required accuracy in DI questions. So after finishing my verbal module, I had my verbal skills.
Yeah.
So while going through the DI module, I followed the same structured approach,
Hmm.
which was given by you, like TPA, GITA, and MSR, then DS.
Hmm.
So the verbal skills help in DI preparation as well,
Hmm.
because we have that non-math questions, which
Hmm.
are verbal CR questions, even in MSR. So those verbal skills are required in DI as well.
Hmm.
So those skills came in handy in DI preparation. Once I started my DI preparation,
Hmm.
uh, the other part in DI is following the structured approach
Hmm.
for solving any DI question, the as it was mentioned in the course, following the structured approach.
Mm-hmm.
That that becomes a game changer, especially because DI section tends to be lengthy. Like people are not able to finish the DI section in time.
Mm.
Even I was not able to in the first attempt.
Mm.
So following that structured approach of solving,
Yeah.
going through the passage, if it is an MSR, if you take an MSR as an example, reading all the arguments,
Mm.
making notes, or extracting the information in the first read itself,
Mm.
and then reading the question stem, each and every
Mm.
question stem, and then after that going to the option choice and mix. So that's how following the structures helps, because if you skip any of those parts, uh, there is a high chance to get the question incorrect in the end.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't follow the same goes for DS as well, same goes for GITA, and same for
Mm.
TPI. Whole
Yeah.
DI section, the process comes in. The
Mm-hmm.
process is actually necessary for the DI questions.
Yeah.
So that's how process helps in DI.
Yes. And since we are talking about I would like to share my screen. So these were your cementing stats. Okay. So I know it's been some time. I'm not sure how much you recall, but these were your cementing stats from TPA and DS, and these are the hard cementing that I've selected for now, right? Clearly, we can see that by the end, you were already hitting that 90% accuracy across, right? So
Yeah.
I know that while on the actual test it came out to be a 96 percentile, but when we look into the stats also, it was quite indicative that you were on the right track, right? And this is also for other people to understand that, sometimes it takes a couple of quizzes for you to get to that target score, right? So when you look back into these cementing quizzes, you started off with a 60%, then it was a road till a 90%. So do you recall what changes happened during these quizzes, or what
Uh,
changes you made to your approach?
Yeah, so I quite a bit of I recall. So before starting any module, before starting the cementing, there used to be a video about making the error logs.
Hmm.
So I went through that. I downloaded all the error logs available. So I maintained my error log. So while I was attempting the cementing quizzes as well,
Hmm.
so I was maintaining a error log. So while uh, mention after I've completed one of the quizzes.
Yeah.
So after completing my first quiz, I would go to filling the error logs, the questions which I've gotten wrong, or
Mm-hmm.
also the questions which I've gotten correct, but I slightly spend a lot more time,
Mm.
or I wasn't sure about. So while building the error log, what I realized, there was a pattern. So either I was missing the process part,
Mm.
or I was misreading the question statement.
Mm.
Yeah, or there was some calculation mistake. So those kinds of errors which we
Mm.
tend to make if we and also especially DI questions have some kind of tricky questions which are actually there in the actual test as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if we fix them then and there in the
Mm.
cementing itself,
Mm-hmm.
while solving, you have the structured approach. You are sure like this question will be solved, be it CR argument, be it any TPA question. So maintaining an error log helped. So
Mm.
that's how that accuracy went up.
Yeah.
So within one or two quizzes, I started seeing the difference because I was slightly being more careful. I was
Yes.
not rushing through my solving process. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how error log helps it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And Akash, it's great that, you bring this out right now, that, error log came in so handy for you during your preparation, because most of the students, sometimes miss out the importance of error log in their journey. And for you, I think that improvement from 60 to 90%, or like you said, clearly understanding and identifying the pattern of mistakes that you were continuously doing, right?
Yes.
Like some of the behavioral actions, such as rushing through or not reading the question properly or answer choice
Yeah.
analysis, is something that we do not realize while we are solving the questions, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I think it worked out well because we were able to see that improvement. Now the DI exceptional score is there as a proof that, you really work
Yeah.
through your weaknesses. Right. So when you were done working around with verbal and DI, you gradually shifted to the quants and the test readiness phase in your journey,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So quants, since you were already starting at a higher ability, you were taking continuously sectional tests to keep in touch with the subsection, right?
Yes.
But there were certain variations in the score that we observed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there was.
Yes. So why don't we elaborate more on what were the reasons for their variations and what did you do differently to overcome them?
Yeah. So for quant, even though I was starting from a higher ability, so I was almost getting most majority of the questions correct, but there were certain timing issues. So a couple of questions I was spending a lot more time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was spending 3 to 4 minutes in solving them. So I was not able to figure out what was, so that's like I went through my attempt, whatever my quant sectional attempts were.
Mm-hmm.
I analyzed the data from the Scholaranium as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed the pattern, the questions I was getting incorrect, the topics which I was getting incorrect and spending a lot more time.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, even I discussed this with you. So you suggested go through the core modules and then again start taking sections. So I went through my core modules again, the sections which I was having facing certain issues, timing issues as well, because
Mm-hmm.
I knew I need to I need to get them correct in order to get a Q90. Like you have to solve everything correctly or almost all the questions correct.
Mm-hmm.
So there shouldn't be gaps in the preparation.
Mm-hmm.
So those gaps, I went back to the core modules. I went through the courses, then again came to the sectionals.
Mm-hmm.
And this time around, I was making a note. I wasn't doing the same mistake for those questions. And I saw the improvement. So again, timing started coming in correctly. I
Mm-hmm.
was doing all the questions correctly.
Mm-hmm.
The accuracy was again there in those questions specifically. I was tracking the specific advanced topics questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how improvisation came. And
Yes.
in fact, it helped in the later point in the actual test as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's
okay. So,
yeah, yeah,
Akash, when, because you got a perfect Q90, right? So, when we talk about quants, what key factors do you believe are essential for achieving that perfect score?
yeah. So anybody like if even if all the concepts are correct and we are sure about we know the approaches of solving each and every question.
Mm-hmm.
So, but still, in quants, for getting a Q90, you have to almost like solve all the questions correctly. Even if you miss out on a single easy question, it can impact the score a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So for quant, while solving itself, having that focused approach, like in the practice itself, I started developing the approach to be a little bit more focused while
Mm-hmm.
solving a question.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm making some errors, so I was also maintaining the error log for fonts as well. It was there were not much questions, but the questions which I was getting incorrect, so those were the key pinpoints. So while I used to go through my error log once before my solving any sectional, even before my mocks as well.
Mm-hmm.
So revisiting again and again those error logs and then attempting sectionals helps you avoid the mistakes which you have already done.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it decreases the chances of making errors on the test day as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So, Akash, throughout your journey, you were also part of the Last Mile Push program, right?
Yeah,
So, what role did LMP play in your overall preparation?
yeah. So LMP, so there are a couple of benefits of LMP,
Hmm,
such as first is it gives you the structured metrics which we need to target. So whenever we are starting any, starting with, I had a score in mind.
hmm,
So for achieving that score, we are not sure about exactly what path, how we need to approach section
hmm,
wise. So setting the target. So you helped me with it. So I have certain pain points. So we need to focus in this area, this sections more. Even while even while I was attempting the mocks,
hmm,
so there were I couple of times I messed up my mocks as well. So
hmm.
there were yeah. So from Q90 I went till Q86 as well.
Yeah.
So again, that's when you like a mentor comes in,
Hmm,
because it was not a skill or process issue, but there was some like confidence issue as well comes in. Like
hmm,
sometimes we feel like we are not hitting the met. So deciding those metrics, having those metrics,
hmm.
so that's how it helps
Yeah.
in achieving those targets.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll be blindly targeting some score that for so approaching that score, that LMP bridges that gap
Yeah. Right.
between actually achieving and setting the targets.
Yes, and we are glad that we could be part of your journey and help you get to your target score, because the intention of LMP is to break down your entire journey from your start till the end. And I think in your case we were able to successfully do it to a
Uh,
good extent. And talking about the support system, because as a GMAT student, it's more like an individual journey. But
yes.
since we were continuously in touch over emails and often over calls as well, so
Yeah.
what kind of impact does having this kind of support system in one's GMAT journey?
It's a it's a 3 month long journey. It can be sometimes like tiring. You don't hit the metrics even after doing all the core modules sections. Sometimes it happens
Hmm,
in the mocks. It happened with me as well. So couple of sections I used to struggle with. I was struggling sometimes in mocks. So after again, I used to message
hmm,
e-GMAT. Yeah, so that then we again used to connect, get on the calls, discuss what went wrong, what how we can approach things differently.
hmm.
So that mentoring comes in there where we are like a student is stuck and we are not able to proceed ahead. So that's when the mentoring comes.
Yep, right.
Yeah.
And in your case, I was your mentor, so I think we
Yeah.
we we had a good journey together.
Yeah, it had been a good journey.
Yes. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
talking about your test day experience, Akash, so can you walk us through your actual test day and what was the sequence you followed and how was your entire test day experience? Because you took the test online, right? So
Yes, yes.
many of the GMAT test takers nowadays prefer offline, but because of some circumstances, you took it online. So, what was your whole experience like?
So taking the test online, yeah, there are certain kind of hassles, but avoiding the hassle for going to the test center, taking the test online, we have to make sure the internet connection and everything is there.
Yeah.
There is a stable internet connection. Otherwise, from the GMAT point of view, I would say the online experience was good.
Hmm,
Even the proctor which was there, they were helpful. They will guide you through all the processes. They'll do your room scan and everything. Whatever the general procedure which is mentioned on the GMAT website.
mm-hmm,
So the experience is good. I didn't face much of a challenges,
mm-hmm,
but yeah. So coming to the section part, for the actual exam, so I followed the section of Q, V, and DI.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Q, V, and DI. So while attempting the mocks as well, I noticed Q, since it was my strong section.
Yeah.
So we try to start from a stronger section. After that, VI. So between Q and VI, I didn't require much of a break
Hmm.
because quants I was solving, I was having a little bit of time
Hmm.
after completing my quant section. So I was ready to go with verbal just after quants.
Hmm.
But DI is something, it requires much more focus and much more attentiveness.
Hmm.
So after verbal, I used to take a break and then go to my DI as well.
Yeah.
So that's what the pattern I followed on the test day as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
And
yeah,
yes, and while we were interacting, you mentioned about your quant attempt, right? How
yeah.
that one question could have maybe changed a bit of your score as well. So, could you give us a little more insights on what actually happened on the quant?
Yeah, so the quants, sometimes it happens, you might have solved a lot of questions, but even the first question can be a tricky one, which you can get wrong.
Hmm.
So a similar situation happened with me in the mock as well.
Yeah.
I was attempting one of my mock. Yeah. So for the quants, the similar situation happened with me in the MBA.com mock as well. I was taking the official mock, so where I got my first question wrong. So after I was done with the section, I didn't went back and reviewed that question.
Hmm.
So I got that question wrong, and in that mock, I didn't hit the Q90.
Yeah.
So the same situation happened with me in the test day as well. So I started with the first question, uh, and actually it was a tough question for to start with.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was a tough question to start with.
Hmm.
Luckily, after finishing the section,
Yeah.
I had in my mind, before the test as well, I thought of, since I had some time after the test, I thought of revisiting once. And actually, it helped. The first question was in fact incorrect. So
Hmm.
I had to change the answer, solve it again, and get it correct.
Yes. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think it worked out well for you because you had that extra few minutes in hand, right? Where
yes,
you could leverage that, go back and correct it. So I think it worked out really well because it's a perfect Q90, nothing better than that, right?
yes.
Yeah. So, Akash, when you look back into your journey, what would be the key takeaways that you would like to share with other GMAT aspirants?
So the key takeaways would be following the structured approach, like whatever is being taught in the course or whichever material which we are following, we'll need try to stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, whatever the instructions are being provided by the mentors or by the teachers, so we should try to stick with them. So because sticking with it has helped me a lot as well. So if you try to deviate from the process or whatever is being told about, it can impact the scores as well. So
Yeah, I
that's
think in your case, I can vouch that you were a very diligent student who was following the structured approach to the T because I was your mentor. So I know that for a fact that we worked for the last 2, 3 months together and you followed everything. And the best part was that, like I said in the beginning, that you were open to feedback, you were open to learning. And I think that
yes,
made all the more difference because whenever we used to sit on calls and we used to think through what could have gone wrong, you were always open to discussing. And I think that openness and spending time on strategic review, doing things such as maintaining the error log diligently or following the structure is what made your journey turn out the way it is. So
yes,
On that note, Akash, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for taking out the time today for joining in. And we as a team wish you all the best for your next stage, the application phase and the admission stage. And we would love to hear back from you with a solid admit the next time around. So thanks, Akash. Thanks for joining in today.
Sure, Abba. Thank you.